Officiating. What can I say, folks? It's been terrible. And this has been a fact for years. I've been a proud advocate that the officials have intentionally sabotaged Tennessee football in marquee matchups. But none of those games have sparked national attention. But the Auburn-Oklahoma game did. Yeah, we're going to talk about this. Welcome to the Vol Patriot podcast. I am your host, the Vol Patriot, Patriot of the Volunteer Nation, and my co-host, Jay Mello. This podcast is for the people, by the people, specifically Tennessee football, but also college football as a whole. We're going to cover weekly updates, pre-game and post-game reviews, in-game specifics, and of course, hot takes. We will talk about things that most sports podcasts are afraid to discuss. You'll hear it here and only here on the Vol Patriot podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, and as always, go Big Orange, go Vols. Good morning, guys. We are talking about the infamous Hideaway play that, quite frankly, OU tried to pull on Auburn. They had a guy, I guess, pretend to substitute out, and he just kind of waits on the sideline right there, unguarded, no one's over there. I think Hugh Freeze is over there. He realizes, something's going on. He's trying to call a timeout. It's too late. Or maybe it was ignored. I'm not quite sure. It looked like he saw something was wrong on the other side, and he's trying to talk to the ref, and the ref's just like, nah, man, yeah, just let it happen. Hike the ball. The guy's so open, my grandma could have walked in for a touchdown. They score. Ultimately, Auburn loses this game, and the referees, it's so bad that the referees are the officials of the SEC, and you know how I feel about those guys. They finally come out and send an apology statement, right? They write an apology statement. That's how bad this is. Like, hey, we messed up. We're investigating it, as to say, sorry, right? SEC coaches, I guess coaches in general, but the SEC coaches have been grilled about speaking poorly about the officials and so on, or they'll be fined. Guys, what's the sport world come to? What's college football specifically come to when your own coach can't speak of the atrocities of the game without being, fined, and you're practically being silenced by your own conference, as to say, you can't say that. You'll be fined. You could be blacklisted. I just think it's the real egregious issue isn't just the officiating, guys. It's the truth behind the officiating. Guys, they have a boss. The officials have a boss. Someone's paying them, right? Maybe we need to be looking a little further than that. Jay Mello's already on it. Guys, you already know we are digging deep into making some connections, right, between officials and marquee matchup games, Vegas, other things, regarding the shroud of the state of college football as it is, guys. Ever since betting has come into play, things just have gotten a little bit out of hand. I remember as a kid, there was always a couple of calls where you're just like, but nowadays, oh my gosh, guys. We could look at the Auburn-Oklahoma game, and it wasn't just that call that's got people in uproar. That call helped everyone else look at that game and go, you know what? There was a lot of missed or bad calls in that game. But I digress. As a Tennessee fan, I've been saying, hey, something ain't right here with the refs. All right, they're one-siding out here. They're calling games. They're calling a specific team for all these penalties. But when it happens on the other side, I'm legally blind.
Cannot see. I'm legally blind. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Now I have to mention this. I have to bring this particular person up, if you will. It might not make me friends, guys, but I will say this. I didn't get on this podcast necessarily to make friends, guys. I came out here for the people, by the people, to tell the truth and what I know and what I saw. Josh Pate, all right, I listened to him. I like the guy. I like a lot of his content. I didn't like what he had to say about Tennessee, Georgia. There was a clip of him talking about Kirby Smart apologizing after that game because, ultimately the officiating was poor, and it resulted, in the betterment of Georgia. And I think that's what Kirby Smart was referring to. I think we all kind of pieced that together. Josh Pate seemed to piece it together, as I did. But Josh Pate had a different stance than I had, where he pretty much says, well, Kirby Smart shouldn't have to apologize. Yeah, there was some bad calls that, Georgia benefited from. But, you took advantage of it and Tennessee didn't.
Afterwards, I mean, if you listen to Kirby in the postgame, he flat out said, we probably didn't deserve to win that game. Now, I don't ever believe in saying that. I believe they did deserve to win the game. I believe the team that deserved to win the game won the game. Now, you may feel a little guilty because you got some breaks, but let me ask you this. What if instead of 38-38, it was 38-17 and Tennessee missed a field goal? Well, it would have been probably 30. I mean, it would have affected the total maybe, or a second half line, but it wouldn't have affected the outcome. No, there's skill in putting yourself in position to benefit when the other guy catches a bad break.
Well, isn't that interesting? Georgia taking advantage of bad calls compared to Tennessee not being able to take advantage of the bad. Like, what are we talking about here? Okay. Granted, Tennessee, with all that, still had opportunities to win the game, and they didn't. Missed field goal, missed opportunities here and there. You already know how I feel. So I'm not even going to go down that road. But that's what Josh Pate said. So if that's what you said, so be it. Do I agree with it? No, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that because that doesn't even sound right. Everyone has their opinions, right? But it's like my dad used to say, opinions are like buttholes. Everyone's got them. And so, there's that. Well, fast forward to this week, guys. Everyone saw the Oklahoma-Auburn game, missed call by the referees. Josh Pate speaks about this. He posts a video about officiating and how bad it is, specifically because of this Auburn-Oklahoma game. Apparently, there were some Oklahoma fans that, said, well, hey, if you can get away with it, so be it. What's the problem? Oh, Josh Pate's never been about that. He goes on to say, I've never been about that. I believe it, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right.
And so there were some people watching who knew nothing about the rules against that, and they thought, oh, that's really smart by Oklahoma. There were other people watching who knew, oh, that's illegal, but hey, if you can get away with it, get away with it. Whatever. I've never been about that life, but whatever.
Huh? Wait, what? No. He even goes on to say, to imply that, maybe this game would be different had, this call not been, if the touchdown didn't stand ultimately, right? Well, that's interesting because just a couple weeks ago, you were like, well, no, if practically they get away with it, so be it, take advantage of your opportunities and go and win the game. The hypocrisy is the frustration of the situation, and it's not just him. Guys, I'm using this as an example to say it's the state of sports media where we are allowed to talk about some things, but we're not really allowed to talk about other things. And I don't think college football as a whole is being real with what's really going on. They're not being transparent. I mean, look at the Michigan situation. They literally cheated and still managed to keep a national title. Guys, what are we doing? What are we doing in college football? Is it really that bad? I mean, we got egregious bad calls and atrocities and cheating across the board. Nothing's happening. And we, the fans, are just consistently, showing up to games and paying extra dollars for the NIL and everything else to go watch these players and whatnot. Why? If you don't believe that the officiating or bad calls, no calls, whatever, aren't affecting the game, you're the problem. You're the problem. And they're going to keep singing these same old songs because you're going to keep believing them. Vol Faithful, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the support, and thank you for helping promote our content, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, go Big Orange, go Vols.